Hello student, welcome to our physics discussion, that is physics in a smart way. Today we pick up a topic and that is nothing but gravitation. In fact, the question that I am going to present to you can be taken as a common topic in gravitation. If we replace the masses by electric charges, then it can be very easily be a question on electrostatics. And everybody is aware about Newton's law of gravitation. The force between 2 point masses m1 and m2, which are separated by a distance r, is F equal to g into m1 m2 by your r square. Okay, where capital G stands for universal gravitational constant, has got a very odd value like 6.67 into 10 to the power minus something that you know very well. I'm not going to repeat it. So that is all about the Newton's law of gravitation. But we got several misconceptions in it. And it is quite dangerous if you are in a situation where you do not know what you do not know. Means if bad idea is there, misconception is there, and you have not realized it, then it can be damaging for our career. And the question exactly dwells upon that. It's a common issue in Newton's law of gravitation and the Coulomb's law, specifically Coulomb's law in electrostatics, because the formulas, they have got a lot of common between them. Okay. So because we are conversant on Newton's law of gravitation, that is valid for point masses, just like Coulomb's law valid for point charges, our case is to find the force of interaction. Everybody is aware of the Newton's third law of motion, and we know action reaction, they are equal and opposite, and we are aware that the force with which the mass m1 pulls mass m2 is the same force the mass m2 exerts on mass m1. We are very sure of that. So we are going for the solution. But first of all, the question needs to be repeated. You must be knowing the question fully well. A point mass m1, that is 5 kg, is kept at reference origin, and a thin uniform rod-like mass, that is m2 equal to 6 kg, is kept parallel or on the x-axis as shown. The thin rod-like mass starts at x equal to 2 and ends at x equal to 8, as it is shown in the diagram. Find the gravitational force between them or interaction between them. So that is the question. We cannot apply Newton's law of gravitation readily and go for a solution within say 5 seconds, because the situation is bit peculiar. Mass m1 is a point mass and mass m2 is a distributed mass. That is a long bar-like thing that extends from x equal to 2 to x equal to 8. So somehow a student will be hesitant to go for the solution. Okay, but we know we got no other law except for Newton's law of gravitation to handle that. And Newton's law of gravitation, it acts for point masses. But in the scenario that we have been given, we are forced to use it. At the same time, we also know its stipulations, we also know its constraints. So let us go to the solution. I am presenting 3 different solutions in front of you or to you, and I'll ask you to use your final judgment and find out the things that we really need to learn from this exercise. Okay, so first of all, I am going to solution one. So for our solution one is there, we pick up the Newton's law of gravitation, that is G into M1, M2 by your R square. There is no other law. Okay, next step, we keep G as G. Don't try to put in its value, numerical value. Keeping G as G also gives us no, does us no harm. Into M1, M1 is given as 5 kg. N2, M2, that is given as 6 kg. Divided by R square. The difficulty with us is R. That is, what is the distance or the best distance or the correct distance which must be selected, the separation between them. We may be inclined to take M2 as a point mass, and because it's a point mass, the point mass is to be located at the center of mass of M2. Because you know the length of M2 is 6 meter, 8 minus 2, that is 6 meter. Its center is located at a distance that is midway or at its midpoint, which is 3 meter from either of the end. So now from x-axis, if you count the distance, that is 2 meter plus this 3 meter, that becomes 5 meter. Or maybe somebody can be thinking that because one end of M2 is at 2 meter, other end is at x equal to 8 meter. So average distance, that is same as the distance of center of mass, must be 2 plus 8 by 2, that is 5 meter. Both ways, we need to find the center of mass of M2, and the center of mass has got a x coordinate, that is x equal to pi, 6 meter long. The midpoint of 6 meter is 3 meter from either of the end. So thereby this x equal to 5 meter, we do not need any further discussion on that. So that is 5 square. That gives us a formula, that is 6g, sorry, that gives us an answer, that is 6g by 5. 6g by 5, this much Newton, once you put in the value of g there, will be there. So the first answer that you get through solution number 1 is 6g by 5. And most of us may be convinced with it, and that seems to be a proper decision. The formula and the steps, they seem to be correct, and that is the answer. Let us say we consider a second approach. A student may be inclined to think like this. Let me remove the space, clear up some space so that we can be able to do that. So the second approach will be using calculus. A student can claim, because the force between 2 point masses is G into M1 into M2 by R square, but the basic criteria is that they must be point masses. So far as M1 is concerned, we got no issue with that, but M2 is a distributed mass. If M2 is a distributed mass, that cannot be taken as a point mass. But if you consider a small portion of M2, that can be taken as a point mass. And that is the way of calculus. But first of all, we try to find out a quantity which is very much useful here, that is mass per unit length. Some people state that in a stylish way, that is linear mass density, but that is nothing but mass per unit length or mass divided by length. Usually it is denoted by a term lambda or sigma, something like that. That is m by L. M means that is M2, length is 6. So thereby that comes out as 1 kg per meter. Symbolically, if you are going to put it, you can put in the value symbol, that is lambda, that is linear mass density or mass per unit length or mass per length. In this case, that is M2 by its length, 6 by 6, that is equal to 1 kg per meter. A student can think like this because already we have stated our way is with calculus. We got no issue with M1. Second, we consider a very small portion of M2, but that is in a calculus way. So thereby I consider an arbitrary distance within x equal to 2 to x equal to 8, that is the span of M2. We have to stay within that span, that is x. And I am allowed to increase, if I am allowed to increase x by a small amount, that is dx. Then dx can be taken as a point mass. We can assume its mass as dm because that's elementary mass. And the mass can be also calculated as mass per unit length into our dx, length of our piece, because lambda has got a numerical value of 1. So that is 1 into dx. So numerically same as dx. Okay. Okay. So as per the way of calculus, we try to find the interaction force between M1 and the small mass dm that is situated here at a distance x. So if we try to find the force, we know that force will be coming as a very teeny force, elemental force, because other quantities like capital G and M1 may be there, but the presence of dm, because dm is multiplied, that makes it very small. So we brand that as df, and df comes out as G into your M1 into your dm by your R square. You know, in this case, the separation between dm and dx or M1 and dm will be, that is M1 and dm will be x, so that must be x square. Now stopping in the values, g is g, we don't try to break up g or put the numerical value. M1 is given as 5, M2 dm, already you know that is given as dx by, we know the distance is x square. And as per the ways of calculus, we will be getting the force if we integrate or add up all such small forces. Those are supposed to act on M2, dm like this. That you know already, because we are in gravitation and we must have progressed something in the way of calculus and all that. But there is to be some limit. But first of all, we put in the value that is g into 5 into dx by x square, integration of that. And because x has already come in, we know the limit of x, lower limit is 2, upper limit is 8. Okay. Unnecessary quantities like 5g and all those things, they are constants. They can be taken out. So that is integration with limit 2 to 8. That is dx by x square. And as you very well know, that will be giving us a value that is 5g. The integration will be giving us minus 1 by x. Limit is, that is 2 to 8. And ultimately, I am skipping a step here because I got limited space available. So that will be within bracket. When you incorporate the minus sign and the limits, That will be 1 by 2 minus 1 by 8. Okay, that will be equal to your 5G. Sorry, that is 5G. 2 into 8. 8 minus 2. So that is 5G into 6 by 16. 2 into 8. Keta hochi? 15G by 8. And we clearly see, if you compare with the solution 1, oh, I am sorry, I have written still solution 1, that is solution 2. Solution 1 did give us a value, and that was equal to, that was 6G by 5, 6G by 5, and solution number 2 that gives us 15G by 8. So now you must be wondering, and because a physical situation must be having a unique solution, you must be wondering, both the solutions, solution 1 and solution 2, they give us different values. So which one you have to believe and which one you have to discard? Obviously, most of you will be slightly inclined towards solution number 2, because you know that sophisticated mathematics, the calculus that takes everything into care and all those things. And I must agree with you that solution number 2 is correct. The correct answer is 15G by 8. Solution number 1 is wrong. It has become horribly wrong. It has become horribly wrong. But thing is, why? If somebody tries to deal with physics, a science, a subject of science like physics, and by mugging up some formulas and all those, and giving up thinking job, then we know what sort of difficulty will be, and such a difficulty presents itself now. So now the question is, why the solution number 1 gone wrong? Okay, but my job is not complete. Solution 2 is there. I am going to remove it. I am presenting you with another solution, but so far as the correctness of the answer is there, solution number 2 gives us the correct answer. Solution number 1, unfortunately, that may be a simple procedure that doesn't give, that gives us a wrong answer, to be exact. Let us consider another way of dealing with that. That is solution number 3. Solution number 3. We know whenever we have gone for solution number 1, considering again the Newton's law of gravitation, F equal to G into M1 into M2 by, so to say, R square. Our basic difficulty was with R, because M2 is a distributed mass. So what is the proper value of R we must take? And in the first solution, we have taken the proper R, and that is the position for the center of mass. And at that time, that somehow did look logical. A student is trying like this. He is considering R as like this. R equal to root over of R1 into R2. That is equal to root over. R1 means the x coordinate, that is your x1 into x2. the x coordinate of the start of the bar, that is 2, and x coordinate, and x2 means x coordinate of the end of the bar, that is 8. So that gives us 16, and we know that will be giving us a value 4. He considers R as 4 meters and goes for the solution. So force equal to, as it is given, G into M1 M2 by R square, G, M1 equal to 5, M2 equal to 6 by R square. R square means that is 4 square. R square means 4 square. So thereby we got the answer, that is 15G by 8. Already you know the solution number 2 was correct, and number 3 gives an identical result. And if you compare solution number 3 with solution number 2, you know solution number 3 is quite smart, and our way is physics in a smart way. To make you learn physics in a smart way, you know calculus that has got a definite procedure that makes you go through all the steps neatly, and then we can hope for the answer. But solution number 3 skips all those things, doesn't involve calculus, still gives the correct answer, that is 15G by 8. Now I leave the whole thing to you. Think of the solutions. Try to find where you have gone wrong in solution number 1, and where from we got the value of the so-called R, that is root over of R1 and R2. All those things will help you in a very big way if you are doing something, if you are hoping to do something in engineering or in physics, in fundamental sciences, so to so. Okay, the whole world is open for you. But basically my point was, physics is not all about taking up some formulas, stopping the values and finding the answer. This has to be thought out. This has to be thought out. Why in a certain situation, a certain procedure will work, and why it won't work. The proper logic must be available with us. We must be aware all those things. So, okay, thank you. Goodbye for today. We'll be considering other issues of physics at your level at a later date. So please wait for my videos. And if that is helpful, if this is helpful, please like, please share, and please subscribe my video. Thank you again.